Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Brings me a guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin still lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to PSGL Season 34 for the top tier on PlayStation. This is round number 7, and we head to the Emilia-Romagna region in Italy, around Imola for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, a track which is situated near the Ferrari factory of Maranello, and Volkongen and Jay Van Bussel are hoping to get a good result there tonight for the home fans. My name is Jess Ball, and joining me once again in the commentary box is Mr. James Head. James, how you doing?
Doing very well, Jess. It is going to be fascinating to see what happens here in Imola, of course. If it's anything like F2, you're going to have a bit of carnage, a few safety cars in there, and also Webcam dominating in F2. But hopefully in F1, we have so much better action. We've only got 2 stewards reports to run through as well, which hopefully is going to set the tone for the rest of the season.
Yeah, luckily only a few stewards reports. We've got a few driver changes as well. Sam Gamer is now a full-time driver in the Williams. Not really that surprised. He's been doing so well this season already. Very consistent. And obviously he performs well in other leagues with Parnell Racing. I think I'm very, very happy that he finally gets a shot to show what he can do at full-time.
Yeah, definitely. So I think Sam has really excelled, I've got to say, in the last couple of weeks. He had a phenomenal race, of course, a couple of weeks ago in Britain. Really shone himself through. I think he's deserving of that full-time role. Wiener, of course, now dropping to reserve. OP Benz are also going to be in as a reserve. We should be seeing him throughout the season, along with Francesco Largo as well, who's formerly of JR. But looking through the championship standings as well, coming into tonight, Brad is leading the way on 45 points. And the top 5, Jess, only separated by 13 points, makes it potentially one of the most closest PSF1 top-tier grids that I think we've seen in probably modern-day PSGL.
Yeah, and the thing is, the top 5, I've been looking at the standings, there's not many drivers that have been consistent all throughout the season. Everyone in the top 5 has had a bad race either way at the moment, and it's a bit frustrating at times for some of these drivers that they just can't get the results every race. We got the likes of Max, we got the likes of Kian doing a lot better last time out. He got the race win, so hopefully his race win will climb his way back up. 3 drivers, by the way, are on 22 points. Nando in 9th, Louis in 10th. Louis, of course, coming back from a really good win in Legacy Division last Tuesday, which was really fun to watch. And obviously we got the likes of Lars, the reserve, in 11th. Tom obviously got 2nd place in Austria, and he's in 12th position. But we got the likes of, obviously, Volkongen, Stefano, Aurelian, not doing very well in the standings. And Aurelian, by the way, I'm just trying to remember, he got a 3-second penalty added to his final race time due to an incident with Markadov on lap 26, turn 13. And then we got one where Morborak got a 5-second penalty added to his final race time, 2 licence points, which means he's got 10 licence points added to his name, and he's not racing here tonight. But he's in the chat, though, supporting us, so it's great to see him still there, but gutted that he's not racing. However, we do have 3 reserves with us here today who are going to be filling in the shoes. Lars will be filling in for Morborak. Luca Kart will be filling in for Black Box. And we have, I'm trying to remember who the other one was. Do you remember who the other one was, James?
Other one was, we've got Luca Kart, Jeroen and Lars.
Oh,
Lars
it's Jeroen.
and Martin, yeah. I believe.
Yeah, Jeroen's filling in for Louis, who can't make it tonight. So that is your stewards report and your standings done out the way. And without further ado, let's head to the race action. And as you can probably see in a minute, hold on, I just realised I haven't got all the lovely graphics up on your screen so you can see it. It is raining in Imola, and obviously it was like that in real life, but it was much worse. That's why obviously the drivers didn't go racing there. But we are racing here at the moment, and it's going to make conditions very quickly. But the question is, James, will it stay throughout the whole session?
You'd imagine so. I think normally the transition of rain in this game is normally about 10 minutes, I think, into the session. So we should see if there is going to be dryness out on track, or if we get a drier period of weather. It's going to come within the final 5 minutes of the session, which could create one or two scenarios. Either the track dries very quickly, or the track dries so slow that it could be the case of last across the line will get pole position. And it's going to be very interesting with this wet dynamic qualifying as well. It can bring quite a lot of change, not only from our championship standings, but also from the drivers out on track. I believe Stefano was the first one out on track, coming to the left-hander of the second Ravazza at turn 19. So we're going to run on board with him on this lap, running down in towards Tamburello at turn number 2. But first, embarking, of course, on the King, coming to the left-hander of turn number 1, and already reaching 197 mile an hour in towards turn number 1 as it comes down through Tamburello turns 2 and 3, and then to the left-hander of turn number 4 before we embark, of course, on Variante Villeneuve, or the Villeneuve chicane through turns 5 and 6, and then in toward the left-hander for turn number 7 at Tosa, and a 25.8 in the first sector from Stefano, not looking too bad at all, as he now comes up the hill through Tosa, in toward one of my favourite sections of the track, as Yossi there has retired from the session. That's actually out on track, coming to the left-hander of 18 and 19, so I'm not sure what's going on there with Yossi, unless he's actually retired in the pit lane. Stefano coming through though, Aqua Minerale, at this point in time, and looking very, very consistent on this lap, I've got to say, as he does this. The OP man looking to come in toward Variante Alta with a purple middle sector, 53.888 through the middle sector from Stefano, looking very quick in B, takes the cubs very nicely on the exit, now running down into my favourite section of the track, the Ravazzas. You get this wrong, you'll either end up in the gravel or you end up spinning on the outside curb. Track limits will be getting monitored here, I am sure, as Stefano nearly proves my point, nearly locks up into Ravazza 1, through the second Ravazza, and then in towards the Kink at turn 19. Lap of Imola done in the wet, and Stefano comes to the line with a 1:21 flat to start off the night, but we are about 9 seconds off what we saw from the dry in terms of the F2 guys.
Yeah, that is very great to see from Stefano. We've got a few other drivers coming across the line. We've got Genta coming across the line in the P2. We've got one of the Aston Martins that is about to finish off their run as well. Ryan heading towards Ravazza, and bearing in mind, we can see a lot of drivers getting used to these wet conditions and be on the runs for more than one lap. So it's going to be hard for us to track in the commentary box, but Ryan sets himself up with success with a 1:20.762. Markados beats that with a 1:20.654, and then we got one of the Williams drivers as well. That might be your own, who's coming up to line. No, but it's not. It's his teammate of Sangamer, I believe, who's just about to start his run. So Imola, first hold of Formula 1 race back in 1963. The race was won by Jim Clark, who lapped all but one driver. Let's hope we don't get anything like that. And over the next decade, there was a lot of improvements made to the track, including obviously Tamburello and Villeneuve, obviously due to what happened in 1994. It was a little bit of a break from in late 2006, but then the circuit reopened in 2008 with GT cars, and then obviously Imola returned to Formula 1 back in 2020 due to the fact that there was somebody, well, pretty much Formula 1 were looking at track to host a race for due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and Imola returned due to the popular nature of the fans, and it's been in the Formula 1 calendar ever since, really, obviously, apart from this year. So let's see what everyone else could do, finishing off their lap. And I have to say, as I think it was it was Nando who just came off the line in P5. I have to say, the main difficulties of this track, James, obviously Variante Alta, obviously the Aqua Minerale chicane, that is a very double right-hander that can be taken at high speed, but the track can be difficult. Those two, I would say, as well as the heavy braking zone into turn 2, is something the drivers have got to watch out for.
Yeah, they've definitely got to watch out for that. Sam Gamer goes quickest now with a 1:20.443, so not a bad lap there at all from him. Yossi's got a qualifying ban as well, which we didn't actually see in the steward report. It must be an existing one from early on in the season. Must be from last week. He DNF'd, I believe, last week, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
and
he had a race ban.
he had a race ban in Japan, so this must be the qualifying ban then coming in Imola, which makes sense. And I think because of the license once that he picked up, race ban before qualifying ban makes sense. We can actually take part, of course, in this race here. He is going to be down at the back of the field, however. But yeah, coming back to your point about the real differences out on track, Sam Gamer has just run wide coming through Piratella at turn number 7, which again I think is a very, very important part of the track, where if you run wide and get caught on the outside curb, and this is around many of the turns around, so you get caught on those outside curbs, you're going to end up either through a spin or either real locking into the corner and then messing up your lap as a result. So we should see some really good lap times potentially coming in out on track, but it's going to be very difficult for the drivers to actually get involved in. Sam Gamer out on top, the Markadors in second, Ryan there in third. Quite a few invalidations out there. Jerry Van Bussel, however, through the first sector is 600 down, so pretty much setting consistent 26s through the first sector. However, the PSL man looking up the hill into the left-hander of Piratella to try and improve on his lap. But we'll see what Jerry Van Bussel can do there in full position. Let us know where you're watching from as well. I can see Mr. Pascal Godendorp there in the chat, the father, I believe, of Mr. Kian Godendorp, who is that race winner, of course, last week from Japan, and he's there in 12th position, currently on an outlap in the McLaren. And with his race win last week, Jess, I said it in commentary last week, I thought Kian, this was the rebirth of Kian. Are we going to see the same Kian tonight, given the conditions in qualifying?
Well, he usually likes the wet conditions, so you never know. And I think one driver that was very unlucky as well, that could have got the race win, was Jerry Van Bussel as well. He lost the championship lead because of it, and he's dropped down into third place. But it's hard to really see his true pace at the moment. He hasn't produced a full lap yet, so he may not have been too confident, but he's going to start one now. Same with his teammate Ryder's out, and James is going to be out on another one as well. Now, we've seen a few drivers throughout the session switching between the intermediate tyres and the soft tyres, so that strongly suggests that it's not going to be potentially wet for the whole session. It may dry up towards the end, or you never know, it may not dry up at all. So the drivers have got to be on their A game and think, right, when will be the best time to go on these soft tyres? But I think Kian is definitely improving as the game cycle goes on. Obviously, the game came out middle of June, which is the earliest it's ever been throughout the whole of the F1's life cycle history, as it were. So Kian may have struggled at the start of it, but he's really held his own later on in the season. His last point comes across the line in P10. Kian's past Piratella now, and he's heading towards Akmerali. You can see the track getting lighter so far, and Akmerali takes that all right. Oh, no, but he does. He's invalidated James. Every time we talk about him, he invalidates his lap. So I think he'll only have a few more laps to get it hooked up. But he's going to hope for himself that it's going to dry up so he can go on soft. And James, you're on mute. Hoping it's not my internet that's causing a bit of issue there, but it seems to me that we've lost James for a little bit there, unless he's having some issues on his end at the moment. So Kian is not going to have time to go on and run now, so he's going to go into the pit lane. Brad, as our championship leader, is about to start one, but here we can see a lot of traffic going in the final sector. That's probably why there is a yellow flag. So I think one of the Aston Martins will be potentially going out on run, and a few people saying in the chat to stop cursing people. I'll try my best, but commentators cursing sometimes unfortunately can go out when I least expect it, so hopefully it doesn't happen today, and hopefully I do not jinx anyone. So Brad is going to be heading towards Tamburello now, and we'll see if he produces a better lap time. Now, he hasn't set a lap time yet, and we got Volakongan, who's braving it out on the soft tyres. Now, I strongly suggest that's probably not the best decision because the conditions are pretty damp. James, are you back yet? Well, doesn't look like he's back at the moment, so hopefully he can rejoin it soon. But yeah, Volakongan braving it out on a set of the soft tyres currently. But yeah, not the best decision, I would think, but he's obviously going to be the benchmark. Brad, unfortunately, has invalidated again. DRS enabled. Now, that is a bit earlier than I thought, but that means Volakongan is going to get some DRS on his lap, so maybe the track will start to dry out anyway as he's about to go and finish his lap time. as he heads towards Imola. You can see how the way he pretty much crawled through that lap. And you can also see everybody else going out on laps here today. Now, there's a few people that were asking whether they prefer a dry or a race. Pretty much everybody, including the likes of Ryan, saying definitely dry. Aurelian doesn't like the wet. Max doesn't mind. Your own enjoys both dry and wet, so there's no problem for him. Jez would like it wet. Well, he's done well in wet in the past. He got a win in China last season in the wet. Stefano doesn't mind as long as he's fast in both conditions. Volakonga says he wants dry. Sam Gamer doesn't mind a wet race, especially if it's in qualifying. Well, he's getting his wish at the moment because he's currently sitting in pole position. But let's watch Volakonga then. The first lap potentially on the dries. You can definitely see that there's some parts of the track which is a lot drier than everybody else. But luckily he's not crawling that much. But he's going to take it a bit slower, heading towards the Villeneuve chicane. A bit scrammy through there, but obviously the track is not going to be like what we saw with F2 just yet. It is going to take a while for a little bit. I won't be surprised to see a lot of people going in at the pit. So we are going to be comparing some dry sets in just a moment. James, are you back yet?
I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Wi-Fi went off on my iPad. Wi-Fi went off my laptop. Don't know what happened. Don't have a clue. Still connected to the session and watching Volakonga on his lap. So don't know what happened. 53.2 though in the middle sector is purple out of everyone, and we'll see what Volakonga of course can do on this lap, running down the hill in towards Ravata. Sam Gamer though out on top. Mark Bill second. Jensen third. And as I said about 10 minutes ago, we are seeing now the transition in terms of dry running, and the track is drying very quickly, even with these overcast conditions out on track, as Volakonga now comes around the final corner. Sam Gamer going quickest there. Volakonga not going to be quicker than Sam Gamer, 119.6, about a second actually off Sam Gamer there in the end, but Sam Gamer out on top, Volakonga in second, Marcados there in third, and Marcados actually purple in the middle sector. We're just going to see the timing screens, I think, just light up purple, purple, purple in all three sectors for pretty much every single driver out there.
Yes, and someone is saying that it's the same quality than in Austria. Mubarak's pointing that in the chat. That is true, but we had it towards the end of the session, whereas now we've had it a little bit earlier on. So not quite the same, but still wet to dry qualifying as Marcados goes fastest. And I think we're going to see times go quicker and quicker the sooner that the later you are on a lap. So I think the later you are out on a lap, you're going to see the conditions last, and that means it will get better and better. Marlon, unfortunately, has invalidated, so you'll be going into the pit lane. Ryder hasn't set a lap yet, and he's not going to set a lap because he's found the gravel trap, so he goes in to the pit lane. And an interesting comment about Sam Gamer, actually, where we were speaking to him earlier on, because he does plan on attending the remaining races of the season to maximise his chances of fighting for the championship, and he's got to admit he did practice a lot around this to see if it pays off, and hopefully the performance translates in the real session. And it's great to see the drivers are definitely putting in the effort in regardless of where they are in the championship. Realistically, Sam's on 22 points. He's not that far off Brad. It's about a 20-point gap, and we have seen in PSGL in the past, I remember commentating on an Xbox League where someone pretty much overturned a 30-40 point gap to win the championship on comeback. So Sam Gamer could still do it. It's not over.
Definitely not. Definitely not. He also said about his expectations for Imola, just while we've got a little bit of a lull in the action. Also said that he wanted a pole and a win, but I want to stay realistic as well. So I'd rather be satisfied enough with the top three or better. And so far, Sam Gamer currently sitting in third, but he's out of sync compared to everyone else. Everyone else is now coming out on track. One of the Ferraris, I think it's Jerry Van Bussel there, is first out on track now on a set of soft compound tyres, and this is where we will really get to see the track now really beginning to hit in terms of the pace that the drivers are going to be showing. The dryness now is complete, the wetness is completely evaporated now out of this track, so it is fully dry. We are going to see lap times more in the 113.2 mark as what qualifying was, of course, for pole position. But we have seen an illegal blocking penalty, which I think is going to warrant a restart potentially. That is Kian having illegal blocking there. And judging by the speed that they're going at coming through Piratella, I'm not surprised that they're picking up illegal blocking. There's still a glitch in the game, and I believe Jensen will issue a restart towards the end of this session, given that one driver at least has picked up an illegal blocking penalty, and especially because it's Kian, he's down there in 16th position right now, so he'd actually be starting with that right at the back of the field.
Yeah, I think with the likes of PSGL and WOR, if at least one person gets it, then it's warrants a restart anyway. I know some leagues don't do that, but to make it fair for the top drivers, it will be unfair if they carry on like that. So I'm almost certain it will be a lobby restart. I agree. So everybody is out on the track. And if I go on board with actually one of the Aston Martins, no, it's not Lars. I'm just trying to find... You can see the traffic going through the Variante Alta, and that is why we got more than one driver with illegal blocking. And yes, that is definitely going to be a lobby restart. There's no question about it. But Jay Van Bussel is going to be the first man to cross the line. I know it's going to be tough to call, but let us know in the chat. Who do you think is going to be taking pole position for today's Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix here in Imola? Well, Jay Van Bussel is going to hope that it's him. We're going to keep an eye on a lot of drivers here tonight as we look to see. It literally can be anyone. The last man who is out on the circuit is one of the Mercedes, and that is Markados. So Markados could be the favourite for pole position here tonight, but you never know. The first driver out on track could be the favourite because he's got the less pressure. Jay Van Bussel through Villeneuve, purple sector 1, well, of course he is. How is everyone else doing, James?
Yeah, everyone else is doing well. Markados has actually got a lot of traffic coming through in towards the Ravatas, coming in towards the double left-hander at turns 18 and 19. So that is going to cause quite a few issues down there. There's one driver maybe going to miss the timing. Luckily just got in. Everyone now on their laps. Jerry Van Bussel in the middle sector, 3.5 seconds up, 50.7 in the middle sector. This is what we should be seeing in terms of the dry times. However, as this goes on, we are going to be seeing multiple improvements, hopefully, in terms of their laps. It's Markados, Ryan, and Sam Gamer. Do not hold me to that top three. Do not hold anyone to that top three. It's not going to happen because Jerry Van Bussel coming through the final corner is already going to be quicker than Markados coming through the final corner on the run toward the line. But see, we're still off the times. 1:16 flat. We're nowhere near what F2 was setting earlier on. Lars there into the line going second. Markados currently is up on his lap time coming to that first sector. There are a few invalidations. Tom now going quickest though, 15.8. Jensen now follows in into second. There's going to be so many improvements going through. Sam Gamer perhaps quickest out of everyone in the middle sector. Nando's actually retired coming up the hill into Variante Alta. Aurelian now fastest with a 15.3, but watch out for Sam Gamer. The Williams is absolutely charging on this lap. The Williams now coming through the final corner at the Ravata, surely going to beat Kazizel and Aurelian to the line. Goes across the line, goes third in the end from Sam Gamer. Yerone coming in there in fourth. Luca Cott now goes quickest. Rodadal's on a very good lap as well. The TF10 man right down the bottom end of the field. Markados goes quickest. Rodadal now in second. Absolute mania. Marlon invalid. That's the end of qualifying. It's Markados out on top. It's Rodadal in second. It's Ryan in third. I don't know how Ryan has got third there in the end. But Markados out on top. Pretty much the last man across the line gets pole position. And that's what Markados did.
I predicted it. I predicted the last person that was going to cross the line was going to get pole. And I didn't say who, because it could have been anyone that will be the last person to cross the line. So we are going to get a lobby restart in just a moment. But before that, let's have a quick rundown of our results then. So Markados will be starting on pole with Ryder Dow joining him on the front row. Ryan and Luca Cart will be third and fourth on the second row. Kazizel in fifth and sixth. With Aurelian in sixth, Sam Gamer in seventh, Stefano in eighth, Bolakonga ninth, and Yerone in 10th. So, and we've got Kian and Max sharing a row in 11th and 12th, Brothers and Tom 13th and 14th, Jensen and James Van Bussel 15th and 16th, Lars, Nando, and Marlon not set a representative that time, and then he obviously has got a qualifying ban. But before we head to a little bit of a break, let's have a quick word from our sponsor, And welcome back to PSGL PSF1 Season 34, round number 7 here at Imola. We are going to be having a lobby restarts due to 2 illegal blockings, but it wasn't like Austria crazy, wasn't it? But it was still the last man who crossed the line got pole position, and it's Markados to the death who got it. He really needed this, didn't he? Because he started off very well this season, and then he just dropped off. Maybe this could be the race where he redeemed himself, like we saw Keaton do last week.
Yeah, definitely so. I think Marquez has already had a bit of retribution, of course, early on in the season, already picking up a race win so far this season. And his pole position, I think, cements himself potentially as one of the top guys here on PSF1. He is up there in the championship, of course, and he absolutely deserved that pole position. I thought when he hit that traffic coming through Ravatas, that was it. I thought he was going to get absolutely done for in terms of his lap. He didn't in the end. He went quicker, right at all in second, a tenth behind him. He was just actually behind Marquez coming across the line. So McLaren, pretty much the last to come across the line on his final lap. So he went second, Ryan there in third. Fantastic lap time from him, considering he was in the original top three. He did a fantastic performance on that fresh set of softs to go into third position. Then you've got Luca Park-Cazizza-Larelli in fourth, fifth and sixth. Needless to say, Jess, I think we're in for an absolute treat. But Marquez, I think, coming back to his absolute brilliant best. But what happened with Kian? Last week's race winner in Japan, specialist, of course, in Japan, all the way down in 11th position this week in qualifying.
Yeah, we have seen a few shocks, haven't we, in qualifying? And I mean, it could be down to they're not liking the changeable conditions. They may not like them. They may not judge it right, and they've only had one lap to really get a home of these conditions. And sometimes it's kind of like one-shot qualifying in the way. I kind of don't like one-shot qualifying because that is usually the most awful of situations. But there's certain drivers that can perform under pressure, and there's certain drivers that cannot perform under pressure. And Marquez was the driver that could perform under pressure here today as well. So we are doing a lobby restart. We are waiting for one person to retire from the race one lobby so we can actually get going. Yes, we are getting going, luckily. I left the lobby by accident, so I wasn't meant to do that. I do apologise. But any other surprises here today, do you think, James?
I think, to be honest, Tom and Jensen, they were, first and second in that session with about 30 seconds of that qualifying session to go. They're 14th and 15th. That just comes to show how quick the lap times were being set and how far you can drop down a field from a wet to dry qualifying session. And Jensen, Tom, very, very consistent. Jensen was saying before coming into tonight that he was expecting a very good result in the Inters. He nearly got it. Bar from the conditions actually changing towards the end of the session. So they're going to be ones to watch out for. Max there down in 12th position, going to be one to watch out for. Of course, we keep the same grid as what we were. The 5-second penalties don't get added on for both Kian and for Tom. So they're going to start in 11th and 14th respectively. But all the way down there in 19th position, Marlon. Big shock, I think, for me, considering his performance last week and his real aggressive driving before I think he DNF'd last week in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. He finished 19th in qualifying, didn't get a valid lap time in. He was invalid coming through, I think, Varianta Alta, which was unfortunate. Him down in 19th position, going to be a big knock, I think, for the NLR man's chances tonight. But it is Imola. Anything can happen. Anything probably can happen, probably will happen, and it's Imola, and God knows what we're going to get.
Yeah, and I would like you to get your predictions in the chat. Who do you think is going to win this one? To be honest, I can't call it because we saw what happened in the PSF2 as well, where it was quite dry throughout the entirety of the race. Jonas saying Marlon for the win. Mubarak rooting for his OP teammate Marquez. I can see why as well, and he's probably happy that he's done well in qualifying too. I'm going to throw a bold statement out there. I'm going to say Jensen. I think Jensen needs a good result here today. He likes these type of conditions, and he's the one who could prolong the strategy for a little bit longer yet. So, again, we'll have to wait and see. And Alex G saying, who's starting 15th? We saw Jerome Rim from 15th, so whoever starts 15th is winning. Oh, that is a bold prediction. That is a bold prediction, not going to lie.
Yeah, you've just mentioned him. It's Jensen starting 15th in the end, and 1:15.893 was his best in qualifying. And Alex the G, I've got to say, people are being bold tonight, and I love it in the comment section. People are being very bold in terms of their predictions. NRC saw your own win from 15th position, so whoever starts 15th is winning. Jensen is the man starting in 15th here in PSGL, PSF1. So is he the man of Alex the G? Let's find out.
I'm actually trying to find if I have something on my notes on which position was the lowest around Imola to have got a win, but I haven't seemed to be written those notes at all. So that's annoying. But there was one driver that's done very well in Imola in the past. Michael Schumacher only ever finished third, second, or retired. So he finished. He hasn't finished lower than second, apart from obviously DNF. He won here 7 times, finished runner-up 5 times, and retired 3 times, which is quite crazy, if you ask me, as well. And I think Gilles Villeneuve got a podium 1982, obviously. Obviously, the death quite recently as well for him was a bit of a shame there as well. And yeah, let's see if we got any more predictions. We've got Black Summer voting for Marlon, BR7 going #Haas also. So I'm guessing one of the Haas drivers, Matthias saying Volokongan first win of the season. Not a bad shout for Volokongan, not gonna lie. Alex G saying I've cursed him, haven't I? Well, you might have done. To be honest, it wasn't just you. I said it as well, Alex. I've gone for bold statements, so yeah, it's not just you, unfortunately. Well, luckily we got all drivers in the lobby, so that is very, very great to see. Let's get a few of our drivers' thoughts on what their expectations for him, because we didn't cover all of them, did we?
We didn't know indeed. Ryan there, of course, qualifying in 3rd position. His expectations for Imola, of course, a good qualifying, which he's obviously got, would be good to have that once this season. He's got his good qualifying session of the season, so whatever happens for the rest of the season, I think he'll be very happy with his qualifying here, certainly in Imola. And of course, points in the race, but most important, a clean race, where I can't say could have been more after the race. And I think that speaks volumes for many of our drivers, because everyone, I think, forgets in the comment section sometimes, these are PSGL F1 drivers. This is top-tier racing, and we expect top-tier action from these guys. We want it in a clean, fair, but aggressive manner, and I wouldn't expect anything less. We saw Stu's report last week, which I think has really split opinion on social media, especially the incident between, I think it was Marcadors and Aurelian, if I'm not mistaken. That certainly split quite a few people. But I think what drivers need to do is just learn from their mistakes. And if you can't learn from your mistakes, you're never going to grow as a driver. And I think that's the thing I certainly take on board whenever I do commentary, and really try to inspire these drivers out on track. Aurelian, speaking of which, saying he's not wanting to be last here tonight, which is, I think, a very bold prediction, potentially, from Aurelian's perspective. Max saying hopefully good points. Your own saying aiming for the top 6. Jensen saying if there isn't a miracle, bottom 5. Well, he is on the borderline of bottom 5, obviously, with that qualifying session from him. 15th position, of course, starting off. Stefano saying he just wants a point. Volokongan saying probably bottom half, but will do my best to score a point or 2. Good to see Volokongan being, I think, realistic potentially with his performance. He's qualified in 9th position, so obviously going to be up there. And Sam Gamer, I think we already went through Sam Gamer, but he's expecting a top 3 or better, of course. Currently there, of course, qualifying in 7th. He's got a little bit of ground to make up, but we saw in the early stages of F2, Jess, driving second, I think, was Keki behind Erpek. Stuck with him in the first 7 or 8 laps, then overtook him for the race lead, and then a safety car came out. So Keki really delivering a good performance there, and it actually pays to be better off, I think, behind the driver who's leading rather than in front.
I agree with that, because you're going to get a massive tow throughout a few places. Of course, you got the Tamburello chicane. You're going to get the DRS as well after lap 3. You've also got it past Toza and into Piratella as well. You've also got past Acquamirale into Variante Alta. After Variante Alta, you got the straight downhill heading towards Ravazza. So, yeah, you really want to be the one behind heading into the final lap. And it's probably going to be some kind of DRS tricking. You don't want to be leading heading into the final lap, really. And there could be other people looking for some expectations. There's a lot of support, by the way, from Marlon in the chat, which is unsurprising, and to tell you the truth. Hopefully you'll get a bit of an update soon as to when we're starting as well. Leisure, by the way, saying Brad for the win, which is Bradders, of course, who is from PSR. A lot of PSR boys in PSF1, obviously, at the moment, doing very, very well in the championship, and did very well in Japan last week. Now, I think we're just waiting for Luca Kart to select his car, and then we could get going. So I hope we can get going soon. Oh my God, what is going on in the chat at the moment?
I think we're having a cheerleading session that mirrors High School Musical, I think, at this stage there in the comment section. It is brilliant to see, though. Marlon, Alex the G saying Marlon is definitely the best NLR driver in PSGL F1. He's the only NLR driver in PSGL F1. If that's what Alex the G wants me to say, I will say that on the stream. NLR have got their first driver in PSGL F1, and I think it's really good. They're a little unknown team, I've got to be honest, in recent seasons. But since F1 22, since they did really well in IKR and EML and all the team events, they've really thrived as a team. They've got a very good asset. They've got brilliant management, I've got to say, as well. Every single team, of course, represented by a driver here in PSF1, and it just comes to show how professional all these guys are. These are the top guys at the top tier and at the top brass of PSGL, and we want to see, us as commentators, you guys as viewers, the best out of every single one of these, and I really hope that we do get that in Imola tonight. Of course, Japan, little bit awkward in terms of the driving standards, certainly with that Marcadors and Aurelian incident, and especially in Qatar, we have really good driving standards there. The rest of the season has been a bit iffy in terms of the standards of driving, but let's see if we are going to see some really good action out on track. I believe we're going to be getting going in about a minute or two's time, I've been told. In fact, Jensen is now the lobby host, I've just spied, and he has just readied up, so I'm assuming we're now getting ready to go out on track, which is going to be very good, and to the relief of all of you guys at home.
Yeah, but it is as well. And there's something I'm really looking forward to in general, not just about Imola, but I have to say, we've got one driver returning to the F1 23 game tomorrow on August the 29th, and it's a driver that is making his recovery after damaging his wrist in FP1 on Friday. It's Daniel Ricciardo. We get to drive as him or alongside him on the F1 23 game tomorrow. I have to say, on behalf of all of us at PSGL, we wish Daniel Ricciardo making a swift recovery, and it has been confirmed that Liam Lawson will be racing again in Monza and possibly Singapore as well. But nice to see that Daniel Ricciardo is making its way onto the F1 games, and you're probably thinking, how have we heard of this? Well, F1 announced it themselves on the EA Sports F1 Twitter account, because I think Daniel Ricciardo visited one of their studios at one point to play the game. So there we go. Daniel Ricciardo is making his reappearance to the game, and I'm looking forward to it because I'm a Daniel Ricciardo fan.
So am I. I think it'll be fantastic as well. Liam Lawson, I think, getting the chance in AlphaTauri in real life, I think is going to be very good for him. Obviously, spun in Super Formula, I think, a week before his debut in PSGL there. In real life Formula 1, did Liam Lawson. And he is a very good, solid driver to have in AlphaTauri. Wish him well as well. For whatever races he's going to be doing. There is going to be a patch update coming tomorrow as well that is going to have some very hidden secrets in there which we can't reveal, even though they have been sort of leaked in the server. And I'm going to say though, Jess, not going to back myself into a corner here. It looks again very overcast out on track, so I'm going to move on from the patch exclusive that I was going to reveal. We'll have a look at the weather out on track.
Yeah, so we revealed about Daniel Ricciardo, and I'm excited about that. So yeah, make sure you do update your games tomorrow. And by the way, they didn't update it today because obviously it's a bank holiday Monday in the UK, so none of the guys at EA or Cody's would be working. So that's why the maintenance that would have happened today is going to happen tomorrow. So there we go. So expect, I think around, it's usually about 11 to 1 p.m. UK time, usually the updates come out around about then. So yeah, that should be fun. I'm going to be giving the update a go as well, just to play Daniel Ricciardo, not going to lie. But get your predictions in. I think we've heard Marlon, we've heard Bradders as well that in there, Marcados. We've had quite a few predictions as well. And I had some hints as well in the PSGL PSF1 chat that we could have conditions which are not like this for the entire race. So that's going to be interesting to say the least, James.
It is going to be very, very interesting. I'm just looking through the chat as well on Discord. Apparently, we could see some changeable conditions in this race, which is why the conditions out on track are very overcast. And I've been put and said that it could be even full wet conditions, which might be very interesting indeed. And by full wet, we normally mean thunderstorm conditions. And we have thunderstorms, of course, as the 5 red lights are about to go out here in Imola. actually, for the Imola Grand Prix. Round number 7 of PSGL, PSF1, and it is lights out away we go. Marcos gets a very good start. Rotterdam alongside him will actually try and get into the toe to go in towards Tamburello in behind him, but Marcos will lead through turn number 1 in towards Tamburello now with Rotterdam in behind. Luca Cart there in 3rd. Ryan there dropping down to 4th already, and side by side there with Kazizel to the apex. There's already a spinner in the background. There's contact. I think it was Tom. Nando certainly got caught up in that. He's already out of the race. Marlon got caught up in that, and we've got a VSC out on track early on, but it's Marcos that lead. It's Rotterdam in 2nd. Luca Cart there in 3rd. Contact, it seems, though, Jess, between Marlon, who's missing, I think, the right side end plate, if I'm not mistaken. Yossi as well, missing a little bit of end plate damage on the left side. Nando, though, out of the race, and the VSC deployed.
Yeah, that was a shame. But obviously, Tamburello, it's a very hard braking zone as well, and the curves could bite you before you look at it, to be honest, as well. But biggest loser as well, Tom has lost 3 positions. A few positions lost for Kazizel, Sam Gamer, and Volakongan. And no big position changes for everybody else, it looks like. So it seems to me that everyone else has got through A-OK. But I'm looking at the tyre strategy. I'm a bit shocked that not many people have gone for the mediums, but I'm guessing they want to stretch out the hards for as long as they can. The only ones on the medium tyres are Aurelian, Jay Van Bussel, Lars, and Yossi. Don't forget Yossi started from the back. So the only way that he's going to go is up, because obviously Nando is retired from the race. So, yeah, I thought more people would be starting on the moves, but safety car, well, VSC has ended. No drive-through penalties. Let's see what they could do. And as we were saying earlier, you do not want to be the one that's leading, heading in towards Tamburello. So it's kind of like a rolling start. Jay Van Bussel gets past Jensen, but look at Riederdal. He was almost going to get past Marcador, sorry, in towards turn 2. And then in towards turn 3 now. Doesn't look like it at the moment already. I was expecting him to make some huge ground in this race in lap number 2, because he's on the mediums, but he's not doing so at the moment. The ones on the mediums are struggling to get some pace right now. As you can see, Kazizel going to try to dive it down the inside, as well as Stefano and Sam Gamer. Sam Gamer, not the start he would have liked either, so there's certain surprises that we would have seen, probably would have done some overtakes, hasn't done so yet.
Definitely not, and the sun's actually beginning to come through the clouds, so it is actually going to be a dry start to this race by the look. Sam Gamer right on the back of Stefano. I think Stefano actually tried to loop it around the outside, if I'm not mistaken, in towards Tulsa, and then ended up, unfortunately, on the other side, and Sam Gamer was up the inside line trying to get the move done. Oh, there's a bit of a collision in the background. There's front wings flying in the background. I think that was Volakongan, if I'm not mistaken, just getting away with that. It's Gradas, I think, that's got the damage. Right side end plate damage on the car in the Alpine. There's more contact running down the hill, and there's Alfa Romeo in the wall, and that is Jensen out of the race. That could be a safety car deployed. It's another VSC out on track. Surely going to be deployed for a full safety car, though. Lost the front wing, completely out of the race is Jensen. More contact down the hill, and I believe that was with Lars and the Aston Martin running down the hill. Lars, luckily, has got not any damage, but he might be getting potentially a slap
Max
race.
is out as well!
The stewards, as Max is out of the race, and that's coming into the pit lane as retired, and Kazizel has gone off under the VSC, coming out of Tamburello, and has lost all sorts of positions.
So both Alfa Romeo's not doing very well. One of the Red Bulls is out. What is going on? And I have to apologise to Jensen for predicting that he was going to win this race. But I think Alex, the G, also could be blamed for that as well with that jigs. And Lars has got the bad luck ever. He's got a drive-through penalty for speeding under VSC. But I was surprised that there was no safety car there. But surely the driving standards will have to improve from here on in, because Imola is obviously quite a technical circuit currently at the moment. Lars apparently, actually no, it was Kazizel that had a wheel disconnect. That's why he's dropped so further down compared to everybody else. He's down into 13th, so hopefully he can get going ASAP. But DRS is activated, so this is Riederdal's chance really to see if he could get past Marcados. Same with the likes of Luca Cart and Ryan, but Riederdal has the chance first then. So heading past Vabatsa and heading towards the kink of turn number 1 then. He's not going to be closer than he might think. We could see some moves going on in the background as Aurelian gets past Ryan very comfortably actually, and he's up to 4th.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. Ryan actually didn't use any ERS there whatsoever, so Aurelian made that look very easy indeed. The Frenchman through, and he's into 4th position. Ryan there dropping into 5th, but he's got more ERS than everyone else around him, so that is quite smart actually from the man in the hat. He's on that sort of hard Campana tyres obviously early on as well, and Ron there making sure there in the chat that it was Kazizel with a wheel defect. So unfortunate wheel disconnects technology normally kicks in as well. But unfortunately for him, because I think has been having trouble quite a while actually with his wheel, and unfortunately for him, it came in the worst possible time in the PSGL F1 race when he was in 4th or 5th position, now down in 12th position. He has to try and catch back up, but he needs a safety car, I think, to try and get back into this, as does everyone else further down the field as well. Lars, by the way, did serve up that drive-through penalty, but out front, Jess, Markador's leading the way, Rotterdam in second, 8.5 tenths of a second. Opek was pretty much around the same gap in F2, and then Keki began to catch him around about this point in the race. So Rotterdam going to be looking to try and catch Markador's early on, but Markador 70% of ERS, Rotterdam on 63, using it slightly down the pit straight in towards Tamburello. Don't think, though, we are going to see any moves further down the field. Sam Gamer looking close on the back of Stefano, but everyone remain as they are. But it is so good, that straight, to try and catch up. I mean, Rotterdam was, 8 tenths away out of the Ravatas, and he was winning the 10.5 in towards Tamburello. That is how much you can gain around here, as Jensen there leaving the session is going to cause maybe all sorts of carnage with him leaving the session, with him being the lobby host.
Yeah, if you're a lobby host, by the way, and if you're in any other league as well, do not leave the session, because I've seen it cause chaos in many other leagues I've either commentated on or raced on. Just stay in the lobby and it'll be absolutely fine, even though it'll be boring for you, as Tom, by the way, gets past Bradders up to 14th place, so he's going to be on a charge, really, to try and get a comeback. And don't forget, Bradders is leading the championship, and he's only down in 15th, and only top 10 score points, so we could see another change in the championship lead. And we were talking about consistency earlier on, and we're saying the top 5 in the championship has not had the consistency there this season. We're seeing the same with Bradders. The championship lead has pretty much changed hands almost every round this season, and we could see Markados back in this mix anytime soon as well, as we're about to start lap number 6. Now, someone said in the chat we could see changeable conditions. It doesn't look like it at the moment. It's nice and sunny, so I wonder if it's going to stay like this for the rest of the race. The two Williams running in tandem through the kick of turn number 1. Now heading towards turn number 2. Ryder Dow tries to go down the inside, but doesn't look to do it at the moment, as Elgato was almost going to do it exactly the same. So far, no major news currently. They don't want to make too many risks just yet as they head towards the Villeneuve chicane, but I'm just looking at people's ERS. They're around about, some people hasn't used any ERS at all, so they're just playing it safe until the best possible moment, maybe to go and pit from some tyres. I think we could see some punches if there's possible rain coming later on in this race.
Yeah, definitely. So if it is, it's going to be the second half of the race, I think, where the rain potentially is going to come. Rotterdam and Markados, though, first and second, both of them, of course, formerly, one of them formerly of TF10, one of them currently, of course, part of TF10 is Rotterdam. I believe actually moved to Parnell, so both of them might be former TF10 drivers, but Rotterdam doing a fantastic job there in second position. Markados there leading the way. These two know each other very, very well, and they should know each other's weaknesses quite well. And if I was picking out Markados' weaknesses right now, I'd probably say it is through the first sector. Rotterdam was right on the back of him last time around. He's much closer this time around to try and enact a move. Is he going to go for that move, though, running down the straight? He's using up no ERS, so he's not going to go for it. Somebody that might, though, further down the field is Sam Gamer on the back of Stefano. Kian on the back of Olakongan looking quite close, but everyone running a big old DRS train at about a 200-mile-an-hour game of chess, I think, at this stage, is what is happening out on track, and everyone stays as they are. But Markados there leading the way, Rotterdam in second, Luca Cart there in third. In terms of position gains, by the way, a 5 position gain for Jerry Van Bussel. He's just latching on to the back of this train right at the back of the field. They're in 11th position. He's certainly outside of the points, but currently he is going to try. Maybe he can get past Volakongan and Kian just ahead. Tom there getting through again on Bradders. That's down in towards Tamburello at turn number 2, and now Tom has got himself in a PSR sandwich, which might be something that might happen tomorrow night in Legacy Division.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen everywhere that Tom goes, to be honest, because I think every league that he races in, there's always some PSR drivers as well. There's a lot of esports teams. Sam Gamer's lost it. Sam Gamer has spun in towards Variante Ultra. And did I say earlier that Variante Ultra was one of the tricky spots around this track? And he was on for a race victory today as Sam Gamer, and his first race as a full-time driver, and he's down to 11th place out of the points. His tyres are going to be cooking, but for all the wrong reasons. It's going to be so hot, he's got to try and find a way to cool it to the right temperature now. And I didn't see what happened to cause that, but he might have just spun by himself, unfortunately. But one driver that's definitely hotting up is your own. He's right on the back of Stefano, but again, he can't get past either. But what a shame, James, for Sam.
Yeah, such a shame for Sam. I caught on board with that pretty late, but what I saw was Sam Gamer looking to the inside line of Stefano. I think Stefano's either shut the door on him, or Sam Gamer's just tried to basically force himself into a gap that's not going to be there. That was on the outside, turning into the inside through Variante Alta. He's made, oh my word, Markenos has just had a huge moment coming down Aqua Valley there. Goodness me, huge mistake for Markenos. Still leading the way, but a bit of cold ground potentially there for the man in the Mercedes. But yeah, in terms of that incident, I think it was Sam Gamer maybe getting a little bit too aggressive to the inside line on the back of Stefano. Stefano either coming across on him or Sam Gamer just making the contact as a rallying's right on the back of Luca Kart running down the straight. The AlphaTauris running in tandem for third and fourth position, but Marquinhos leading the way. Suddenly the gap from that slight moment coming down Aqua Minerali is 8/10 of a second. Rodinal in second, Luca Kart in third, Aurelian in fourth. And if I was in Aurelian shoes right now, I'd go for this move because he's got so much more speed than everyone else in the field. But don't think he's actually going to go for the move on his teammates for third and fourth position. And this is the time, Jess, where mediums will begin to start to go off. Lap 9 out of 32 might not seem like the time for mediums to go off, but they will, and they will go off quick.
Yeah, I've noticed that when I did a race as well, that I think about lap 13, 14 was when my medium started going off compared to the hard compounded tyres, so we could see the same situation as well. But bearing in mind, there could be some rain on the horizon, so they may be thinking, right, would I gamble of staying out in these conditions, or will I possibly go to the pits and get your stop done anyway as well? And by the way, we're getting pretty much a similar situation to what I commentated on in another league.
Oh,
as Tom
out.
is out the race. Tom's out the race, and another VSC. It just seems like the normal safety car just doesn't want to come out. But Mylander is probably having a nap or something currently in Imola. He's like probably sat in a deck chair currently, maybe in Imola somewhere, and just not paying attention to what's going on in his race. But yeah, Tom's out now. Surely that might mean some people could pit near the back, but I doubt it at the moment. But yeah, again, we're down to pretty much 16 drivers now due to Tom's retirement.
Yes.
Aurelian's
into the pits.
Aurelian's in, brave.
Very brave, but it's actually not unexpected. I thought he might do this. It's perfect, actually, for a set of mediums to go, 10 laps, and then go set of hards 22 laps to the end of the race. If he gets another safety car, he's going to be absolutely laughing to the bank, I think, in terms of this race. It's a great strategy call. VSC is still out there. He crashed, by the way, Tom, coming out of Villeneuve, about halfway down the straight. So I'm not sure if he had maybe a wheel disconnect or something going on there. But look, DRS has just been enabled, and Aurelian just came out the pit lane. Brilliant timing from Aurelian. He's now 6.5 seconds behind Kazizel. Obviously, that gap will extend, but the gap between himself and Marquinhos out on track is 25.5 seconds. Just slightly less, about 24 seconds between Marquinhos and Aurelian. Perfect for Aurelian, because he is now within a pit stop of Marquinhos, with the times, of course, of this pit stop being toward the 30-second range, Jess, with Silverstone, of course, being the longest on the F1 calendar.
Yeah, and that's not bad timing for your own either, but he's on the medium tyres as well, and I doubt that will get to a point where it could get to the end if the rain doesn't come down hard enough, but he probably figures it's going to come down earlier, and this is what I like, the mixture of strategy. Nobody knows which strategy is going to be right, and we just got to be pretty much glued to our screens thinking, oh, what will the drivers do? What will they want to take much risk? I've seen drivers take risks before, staying on the hards until the very end and then just not working out, so they may have to pit for softs for something at the moment. But as you can see, Ryderdale's got a brilliant run past turn 4, heading towards 5 and 6 of Villeneuve, but can't do it on its occasion, and Marquinhos putting his car in all the right places, through totes around the outside he goes, and Ryderdale again just can't get past. This is like the top two, they're in a different league compared to everybody else, but they're not budging at the moment. Again, they do not want to take any risk. Ryderdale, I'm looking at his ERS, he's hardly used any. Same with the likes of Marquinhos, I expect, so I'm guessing they're just waiting until possibly the pit stop window to do so. And also, Lars has just come into the pits as well, but he's lost a bit of time compared to everybody else anyway. But at least his first stop is out the way. By the way, if you're liking this content, make sure you leave a like on this video, hit subscribe, and also hit that notification bell if you are new. And also check out our sponsors, GT Omega. You can get 5% off all GT Omega products by using the code PSGL at checkout. You can check the link in the description or use the command !GT Omega in the chat. So thank you to GT Omega for all of your support. And because this race is hotting up very nicely, I'm going to need a chair I'm sitting on right now as Jay Van Bussel gets past his PSR compatriot Kian up into 6th place. So a good recovery drive for him so far, but bearing in mind he still needs to stop.
Yeah, Van Bussel hustling into 6th position. Very good move indeed there on the back of Kian. He's on that sort of medium compound of tyres. And Jess, I have a theory about why he's actually staying out there and why actually Marquez and Rodadel are running so much more ERS in terms of everyone else. I think, personally, the rain is going to come around about 22, 23 laps into the race. Now, you might be thinking I'm absolutely mad, and please say this if I am absolutely wrong, but in terms of the high ERS management, I think they're managing this up until the pit stops. Their pit stops, I don't think, are going to be for another 7, 8, 9 laps, potentially. Beyond lap 20 is what I'm talking about, and that could mean one or two things. If they save up that ERS, they go absolutely hell for leather, and they try and catch a rally towards the end of the race and we remain in dry compound tyres. However, if what Jeroen has said is right and the rain is going to come on and what Jensen has just put in the chat is right as well, it's going to come later on in the race. If that is the case, they're saving up that ERS management to actually conserve ERS, use all the potentially wet conditions, and therefore pretty much stabilise the whole field and stabilise their own position. Because if Rodadel wanted to go for the race lead, he could. He's got very good straight line speed down the straight. Marquez sitting there on what, 81% of ERS, Rodadel on 86. If Rodadel wanted this race win, I think he'd be going for the move. But with those threatening black clouds that I can see just above the horizon there coming through Tulsa Corner, that might mean rain could come sooner rather than later. But Jensen will know, apparently, when the rain will come. And he is there in the chat, so I wonder if he is going to tell us.
Well, even though Jensen set the weather up, he set it to approximate, so you never know, the rain could come at pretty much a different time than we would expect. And this is kind of like what we saw at Zandvoort in a way, apart from it started raining quite heavily at the start of the race, then it was dry and then it was wet again. But I think we're going to see a dry to wet scenario as well. And we saw in the real life race, people didn't know what tyres to be on for as well. And there were some people that were on the full wet and made the right decision. People on the inters, they were pretty much aquaplaning everywhere. I wonder if we're going to see a full wet scenario. I think Jensen is the only driver that knows this. But don't tell us in the chat because we want it to be an absolute surprise. So I know the drivers may want it to be an absolute surprise as well, as we're pretty much almost halfway into this Emilia-Romagna race. As Sam Gamer goes into the box then. Not what I would expect to be. He's probably going to go for the same strategy as Aurelian and Jeroen, but there's no VSC, so I don't get why he's doing this.
Yeah, look at the rally, look at Jeroen around the outside line in towards Tamburello. What a marvellous move that is from Jeroen. Getting 2 for 1 into Tamburello. How do you like them apples? Beautiful stuff by Jeroen. Fresh set of mediums. Realised that Aurelian was going to do exactly the same. Go for the move on Kazizel. Kazizel has been made to look like an absolute kipper there. Brilliant stuff on them both. Jeroen through and he's into 8th. Aurelian through into 9th. Kazizel down into 10th position. Kazizel's been outdone. But my word, Aurelian and Jeroen and Aurelian absolutely cooking with that move.
I literally just caught almost the end of that, and that was absolutely incredible for Jeroen. Jeroen's race is amazing, and that's showing that him at the moment, he's going to be really, really fast. He's going to hope that the rain's going to come at the right time for him, because otherwise the strategy will come to put at the end. But for now, this is the right strategy for him, and he is loving it. But he's got to pretty much not push for the entirety of the stint, because otherwise his tyres will lose a bit of tyre temperature and he will struggle for grip. So now he's got past the likes of Aurelian and Kazizel, he can start saving a little bit and hoping that Aurelian and Kazizel may not challenge him a little bit as well. Aurelian's going to get the toe, he's going to get the DRS it looks like, and it looks like he's going to try and get past in the kink as well. Volagongan is going to try and do the same on Kazizel. Well, let's watch Aurelian down the inside, past the kink, heading towards turn 2 of Tamburello now, and now heading towards turn number 3. Nicely done from Aurelian, and he's up into 8th now, and this is going to swap between these 4 drivers for a lot now, and I think Kazizel's going to hope that it swaps as well, because he was the one who suffered from, I think, wheel issues earlier on in the race, and the fact that he's still fighting for points is really, really good.
Yeah, he's still got to pit in though, remember, so because this is where on 14 lap old hards, he's still got to pit in, as have the top 7. So that's Marcos, Vardadal, Luca Cart, Ryan, Stefano, Jerry, and Kian, all yet to pit in, along with Kazizel. Bradders is not going to get to the end of the race, neither's Marlon, neither's Yossi, so they're all going to pit in. Everyone else, however, though, Jeroen and Volokongan, I think, possibly are going to set their mediums up towards the wet period, potentially around about what, 20, well, maybe even about 24, 25 laps in. That's when we're talking about maybe the changeable conditions coming. So as the race progresses, as Jerry Van Bussel's through and Stefano running down the straight in towards turn number 1, Rodadell right on the back there in the foreground of shot as well. But Stefano down into 6, Jerry Van Bussel through and he's into 5th, making that move look very easy indeed. Round 3, it seems, between Jeroen and Aurelian coming in towards Tamburello. And is Jeroen actually going to back off? Yes, he is. He's not going to go for the move, and Aurelian will hold into P8 right now. And that's actually quite smart from Jeroen because his tyres are not going to be as good as what those hards are. Those hards are absolutely inferior to the mediums early on. Yossi picking up a 3-second penalty there, but Aurelian doing a fantastic job. And if I was in your own shoes right now, I'd be just sitting back, relaxing, 65% of EOS, not concerned about Aurelian, who's got 35% of EOS, and he can know when to go in terms of those tyres, which is great. But we should see, though, Jess, Marcos Radadal, Lukaku, I'm assuming Jerry Van Bussel will certainly be in the pit lane, I think, this lap, because he is losing time.
He is losing time as well, and I talked about the 15-lap drop-off from the mediums, and maybe Stefano could potentially catch up anytime soon as well. Some people may be praying for rain at this point. Jerry Van Bussel has got to be thinking about maybe doing a stop, which may not work, but it will help him in the long run, because you do not want to have a puncher in Imola. I had a puncher in Imola once in career mode, and it was not pretty, as Luca Kart comes in to the pits along with Kian then, so they don't want to hold the risk too much, and you never know, being on the fresher rubber could allow them to climb their way up the field as well. So we'll see where the likes of Volokongan and Luca Kart and Kian, will come out. I think they're going to come out in between. I think they're going to have some clear radar. I think they've got Bradders who's going to be chasing them down. So obviously Luca Kart is going to be ahead. Kian's going to be ahead as well. And then we got Sam Gamer and Bradders in that train. So watch out for those four. They're going to be fighting for positions. Don't forget Bradders will potentially still need to stop. He pitted earlier on due to the damage he sustained on lap 1 or lap 2, I think, as well. But look at this. Jeroen is on the tap. Once again, it's like round number 3 or something.
Definitely so. And Mubarak saying in the chat, Aurelian's won GG. Aurelian is what? 0.5 of a second ahead of Jeroen. Volokongan's in behind 0.9 of a second. I'm going to say this now. I'm not convinced that the rain's even going to come. We're on lap 18 out of 32, just about to go on. The drivers are now marking us into the pit lane from the race lead, and he picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pits. Jerry Van Bussel's done the same thing as well. And Marcos, this is an absolute trademark, a trait that he's got. He speeds too fast into the pit lane. And he did it in Britain. I think he did it last week in Japan. And once again, he's done it again here in Imola. Can he not slow the car down to 50 miles an hour? That's what I'm thinking. But Marcos there, coming out of the pit lane, he is going to be maybe side by side with Luca Cott coming out of the pit lane. Luca Cott on the right-hand side right now. There is Marcos. This is going to be side by side down towards Tamburello. And Luca Cott, I think, with that carry of speed, is just going to be ahead. Perfect for Luca Cott. Marcos is perfect there as well in 6th. Kian and Jerry Van Bussel are side by side through Tamburello. Some gamer getting on the act as well. Jerry Van Bussel tries to hang it around the outside. And I'll tell you what, on cold tyres, he's just managed to make some gamer look like an absolute mug. Brilliant stuff from Jerry Van Bussel. Then he's into 11th. He has got that 5-second penalty, though, overhanging him. Hopefully he might get that removed if he did not speed over 50 miles an hour. I know there's a glitch in the game. I certainly got that in my race, in my league race in League of Europe. But Sam Gamer there in 12th position on the back of Jerry Van Bussel. And Jerry Van Bussel's tyres are so cold. Sam Gamer's just right on the back of him. But now, makes for an interesting race. And I'm going to come back to Mubarak's comment and say, Aurelian saying maybe P1. I'm not too convinced.
I'm not too convinced either, because we have some drivers that are pitted on fresh mediums, and pretty much they could get to the end from here if the rain does not come. And there's certain drivers that pit earlier on that may need to pit again, but We know how the hards delta time is as well. It's around about an 8/10 loss between the softs and the hards, and a 4/10 loss between the mediums and the hards. As Markelos, by the way, does get past Luca Kart again before we head towards turn number 2 of Tamburello. So they're probably going to be fighting for a long time to come yet, but he's got to get rid of that deficit. So he's going to try and close in on Cadizzle, because otherwise he's going to lose more positions than he's gaining, for sure. And I'm sure the likes of Stefano and already, and the ones who have been on those halls for so long, they're potentially, as Mubarak is saying in the chat, they're going to be praying for the rain, because otherwise that could cause them a lot of havoc. And I'm just seeing the weather. It doesn't look like it's going to be raining. There's no dark clouds that are threatening. But you never know with this game. You set it to like changeable conditions, and it's not changeable conditions at all.
I think what he's done is set it maybe to 45 minutes. And 45 minutes is normally a 32-lap race around here in Imola. So, therefore, by power of deduction and me doing math science, is saying that the rain is going to come maybe on the final lap of the race. And it's lap, 20 out of 32, and we've got beautiful blue sky and sunshine. I'm not convinced at all that this rain is going to come now. I think those on the mediums, Markedos, Cadizzle, all beginning to catch. Cadizzle's not going to go to the end of the race unless he wants the rain. I think he has to stick out there. There's Ryan right on the back of Rydal, running down the straight. Jerry Van Bussel as well in the background, a shot side by side with his PSL teammate of Kian, getting the job done through, and he's into P10. But, as I say, Mubarak is sure. I'm not. I'm normally spot on with these weather calls. And I am absolutely flummoxed as to what this weather's doing, because it's beautiful blue skies and sunshine. There's not a cloud in the sky now. That does not scream to me there's going to be rain coming in the next 4 or 5 laps. If the changeable conditions were coming in 4 or 5 laps time, we'd be talking into lap 28 or 29, and then final 3 laps on a full set of wet compounded tyres potentially. But that is not going to be the case. Markedos all over the back of Cadizzle, by the way, coming up the hill and towards Variante Alta. You need to try and get this move done, maybe down and towards the Ravatas, because he is getting held back consistently in terms of this race. And now, surely got to use up a little bit of ERS down the straight here in toward the Ravata. If I was him, I'd actually risk this for a chocolate biscuit and get my bourbon on the end of it and towards the inside line, in toward the Ravata 1, Cadizzle on the outside line, can't fight with those tyres, and Markedos makes it look very easy indeed. Thurney's into 5th, and now Cadizzle going to be trapped like a crocodile in a swamp. But to be fair, he's actually coming back at him, and Luca Kart's going to get involved in this as well. Your own passing and rallying in the meantime as well, but Cadizzle and Luca Kart are now side by side. Rydal trying to get around the outside as well on both speeds, but Cadizzle hang on to dry on the inside line. Luca Kart doing his into 6th, and them fresh mediums really coming into play. Cadizzle, though, how on earth he's keeping those 20-lap old hards going, I do not know.
Oh, it's very close. Villeneuve, he's struggling for a little bit of grip. It's Cadizzle, and we can see, I think, Ryan trying to go down the inside. And that was beautiful going up in towards Toza. Well, it's up the inside, not down the inside, because they're not going down anywhere. But Bradders then goes in into the pits for his fresh shirt and mediums then. But fair play to Cadizzle for still being in the point on hards that he's pretty much going to be holding on until the rain period. But he's going to lose so much time because of it. And look at this, Jay Van Bussel is all over the back of this too. And he could try and get past in the Variante Alta, but he's not going to risk it there and potentially go for it a little bit later on. The train just keeps growing and growing. And look at the gaps as well. Sam Gamer is also going to catch up soon before we know it. So yeah, I think Cadizzle has probably made the wrong decision. But he's having a bit of fun, and sometimes if you're not having a good race, if you're having fun and having some battles, then that's probably going to make your life a little bit better. So we're going to try and see Mr. Bustle versus Kian. They're both going to try and probably go for the same move on Cadizzle. They know that he's holding them up a little bit, and it's going to cost them big time. So Jay Van Bustle, oh, they almost got past. Jay Van Bustle lost a bit of ground actually on Cadizzle and Kian. But Kian is going to try and get past it to Villeneuve. No one has made moves for Villeneuve much, but Kian has said, you know what, I'm going to prove you guys wrong, and he did. So Kian is up in it to 9th place. Jay Van Bussel, unfortunately, lost a bit of ground because of it, and that's a big shame.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, that was the passing the baton, because Cadizzle can't fight on those tyres, so why fight? drivers that are on 4 or 5 Red Bull mediums, and look at Jerry Van Bussel all over the back of Kazizel, coming in toward Aquaminoli, and then up the hill and toward Varianta Alta. He's just so quick. Look at the tyres. Mediums are so much quicker than the hards, but Kazizel likes to hold people up coming through this part of the track. I'm not sure if it's a trait of his. Goes sideways there, coming on the exit of Varianta Alta. Jerry Van Bussel's all over the back of him, but he can't fight back because he's only got 8% of ERS, and now down the hill into Ravata. This is going to be audacious from the Ferrari on the brakes, but Kazizel again. Fair play to him, getting out of the way. He is a karting expert at the end of the day. He's a 9-time karting champion. Jeroen, though, going for the night race lead, gets past on a rally and gets the job done down the straight. And Jeroen's tyres looking like they're cooking at the minute. Luca Kart dropping down behind Ryan and Rodadal, so they make positions up into 6th and 7th. Luca Kart there down in 8th position. Kazizel still staying out there along with Stefano. They are only being told one thing. The rain is going to come before the end of the race. Every other engineer out on track, the remaining 14 drivers that are out there, bar Yossi and possibly Lars as well, they are absolutely banking on this rain not to come. The further we get into the race without a safety car intervention or a VSC intervention, the better, because we're not going to see any rain.
Yeah, and for Kazizel, he has to stop anyway. If it stays like this, he has to stop, because otherwise he will get a disqualification, and you do not want to get a disqualification. I'm looking at Sam Gamer's ERS usage. You can see the light flashing on the back of it. So he was doing all he can to get past Kazizel, and because of that, he's lost a lot of time to everybody else. So even if he catches up to the likes of Jerry Van Bussel, it's going to mean for nothing, because Jerry Van Bussel will have more ERS. And scrapping that, he has about the same. So I think the ones who have been fighting throughout this entire race has lost a lot of ERS. Stefano is not going to take too many risks, and he's gone on for soft tyres, and I think he can get to the end from here, but with a bit of a push, so he's going to be on softer rubber towards the end, and it's probably the best tyre to be on when it's kind of like changeable conditions on the crossover between being slick and inters anyway. So Stefano probably making the right choice, but he's going to lose a lot of ground now, but watch him towards the end of the race to see if he can try and get some holder points. So Aurelian leads at the moment, Jeroen in second, Congan in third, Markados in fourth, bearing in mind he's got that free 5-second time penalty, Ryan in fifth, and Ryder down in sixth. So this order has changed quite a bit, and it's going to be very enticing to watch. And I think if obviously they have to pit for inters, Markados is definitely going to serve his 5 seconds anyway at the pit stop. But again, that will dropping way down to like 9th or 10th or something.
Yeah, it will. But, Aurelian very sideways coming out of Varianta Alta. Jeroen there right on the back of him. To be fair, Aurelian P1, Mubarak was being very audacious, I think, by saying that. But look who's now on the back of this train. Markados, 6 Apple mediums. This is what I was on about in terms of why I didn't think Aurelian was going to win the race. Markados now has got maybe 20-25% fresher tyres. 20-25% fresher tyres is absolutely everything. But look at the move of Jeroen going for Aurelian. Maybe as well, Congan going to do the same thing to the outside line and towards Tamburello. Markados absolutely swamps on that. Gets the job done on the Ferrari. Brilliant stuff by Markados. Thurney's into third. Congan, like Jerry Van Bussel earlier on in the race, the Ferrari not seemingly to handle the dirty air, and seemingly it seems like they're on the same side because both of them did it, and the Ferrari with the Maranello track about 30 miles away from the circuit. Congan there, 4th position. Ferrari and the Tifosi fans not going to be happy with that one, as Markados now is hunting all over the back of Aurelian, and Markados was the hunted earlier on in the race, now becoming the hunter.
Yep, he's a prancing horse. He wants to get back the lead of this race. He wants to win this race despite that 5-second penalty. And speaking of penalties, Cadillo has got one now as well, and he's dropping right back currently because he's just pitted onto set with the medium compounded tyres. So everyone has done at least one stop, which is good news, but some people may start to struggle later on in this race more than others because at the time they pitted and due to the fact that it's on the medium tyre for some of these drivers. Don't forget, around Imola, this is the highest, I believe, of tyre compounds that Pirelli have brought to this weekend. So it is used to limit. That means it can be very hard on traction if you're on those mediums for this long. And you're going to be losing the... Oh, it's Markados trying to go up. It's Tamburello, and it's a fantastic move from him. He's looking for this lead of this race, and he's definitely not giving up without a fight. Dirk saying in the chat he thinks Markados could get the 5-second gap. If he gets past Jeroen, maybe, because he's got the fresher rubber, and the ones near him is Ryan, and he can't even get past the ones who are on older rubber. So if Markados could get past Jeroen on the next lap, maybe he could get the 5-second gap he needs, and he's going to pray that the rain doesn't come before the end of the race.
But dare I say it, I think the cloud cover is beginning to build over the circuit on lap 26 out of 32. We have still got enough time for the rain to come. It will be final 2 laps of the race, if the rain does come. Jeroen leading the way, Marquinhos in second. Marquinhos running all over the back. Yes, by the way, in the background was for Marquinhos, because I agree with that comment. I think he will get that 5-second penalty either removed, or he can form that gap as Ryan's right on the back of Volakongan in towards the Ravatas, having to hold on tight. The man in the Haas at the minute. They're in 5th position, but Marquinhos running all over the back of Jeroen, and Jeroen's only going to go one way, and it's backwards, because there goes Marquinhos to the inside line. And even before turn number 1 comes around, Marquinhos takes the race lead here from Jeroen. Aurelian there in 3rd. They're having to fight on absolute ice at this stage in terms of their tyres compared to everyone else in the field. Marquinhos now leading, and now just look at him go. 0.5 of a second already. That gap will only extend as the lap goes on. Jeroen's tyres can't keep up with Marquinhos on those mediums. It's now 0.7 of a second within the space of a couple of corners. Marquinhos, if he gaps Jeroen outside of a second this lap around, he's on for the race win, and he can forget about getting that 5-second penalty removed as Ryan up the hill into a Piratella, of all places, gets the job done. Brilliant audaciousness by the Haas, getting the job done. Ryan through, and he's into 4th. Great move.
He needs to do that move, because otherwise he's going to lose so much time, and he's got to try and get rid of that deficit to make sure that he can win this race potentially. And he's doing all he can now, and he's got to do the same to Aurelian and Jeroen up front, because Marquinhos, all he's going to do is try to pull away if Ryan doesn't close up to them. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this develops, and yeah, still I think some definite possibilities that Marquinhos could still win. Maybe Ryan, maybe even Ryderdale as well. There's still plenty of chances of what could happen, and we know when it's changeable conditions, when it rains hard really, really fast, like we saw in Sandport in real life yesterday. We never seen anything like it. And yellow flag, that is Yossi, who is a lap down. So he's trying to move out the way. It's a shame that he's a lap down anyway, but he is going to be forced to let everybody else through. Luckily, the ghosting system is on anyway, but that's what the yellow flag is for, thank goodness. And there's lots of action happening in the background. Ryderdale almost getting a bit squirmy there. He's going to try and get past Volakongan in towards Piratella. We saw Ryan trying to get past Piratella. So so we're going to see if Ryderdale can do exactly the same thing, but look like he's not going to do so at the moment.
Yeah, definitely not. And look at the speed that Ryderdale carries out of Aqua Minerale, running up in towards Varianta Alta on the outside line. We saw Sam Gamer and Stefano make contact here. No contact, barely between them, but Volakongan now hung out to dry as Ryderdale through, and he's into fit. Very difficult, that corner, to go side by side through. And in the end, look at what that has caused, because here comes Luca down the inside line. Kian nearly forcing bump drafting him almost in towards the Ravatas there. Marquinhos, though, has got that 2-second gap now. Jeroen in second, Aurelian there in 3rd. Aurelian now coming at him, but look at Ryan. Ryan could get both of them down the straight towards Tamburello. He's got one, could get the other on Aurelian in towards turn number 2 at Tamburello. He doesn't. Luca caught now through on with Kian. Kian forced offline coming through turn number 1. Ryderdale now going for the switchback coming out of Tamburello. They're side by side going into the Villeneuve chicane, and this will be remarkable. The McLaren just about forces the move. Kian getting the elbows out. Brilliant, fair, clean, aggressive racing from these guys tonight. Kian in 6th, Ryderdale in 7th. This is what we want to see at the top brass in PSGL, PSF1.
It's hard to keep up, for bloody hell. Sorry for saying that word, but there's just so much action going on. We were running on board in the McLarens, now Ryan's going for loads of moves. It's just hard to keep up, so apologies we couldn't get all the battles across to you guys, but we're heading towards the end of the race, and Ryan is realistically on with a shot of getting this race victory. He really is. He's on fire currently, and I'm just looking at what he said for his expectations. He was the first driver to say his thoughts going into the race. He's saying a good qualifying would be good to have that once this season. He had a good qualifying, and of course points in the race, but most important, a clean race where I can't say could have been more after the race. He's definitely putting on a clean race so far, and he's definitely getting more than just points. And here we go then. Ryan gets past Aurelian, and now the next car that stands between himself and victory is Marquinhos, and we got an OP 1-2. Markados has got to have a drive of his life to make sure that he comes out on top. Ryan has got to close up the gap to make sure he can bring it up to less than 5 seconds as possible as they head towards Tosa Chicane. My oh my, we're going to be in for a grandstand finish. Grab your popcorn. It's going to be amazing. Dirt thinks an OP 1-2-3 could be possible. You never know with the likes of Luca Kart in there. Yellow flag.
It's realistic. There's a yellow flag, and that
Yossi.
thing. Yossi once again. So unfortunate for him. Back in the gravel. I'm not sure if he's got a puncture. 2.7 seconds on the gap between Markados, Ryan, and Aurelian at this stage. Luca Kart, though, it's not out of the realms of possibility that it could be an OP 1-2-3, but it depends on two things. One, Markados, 5-second penalty. Two, Luca Kart getting past Euron and Aurelian. And it's all of a sudden, Aurelian and Euron are back within that second range, as Yossi, I think, again, has just letting drivers through in toward Akon Minerali there. But Aurelian and Euron's sides are hanging themselves on. That 31 and a 32, we're not going to get any rain. Jerry Van Bussel's into the pit lane, maybe to steal the fastest lap, potentially. Here's Aurelian, though, to the inside line, and Ryan not going to go for the move in towards Tamburello. But the fastest lap is currently held by Bradders outside of the points, which I'm not sure if Jerry Van Bussel knows about. Doesn't actually pick up points for Bradders. So we'll be stealing, basically, the fastest lap of his own teammate, which I don't understand, as Luca Kart goes for the move on Euron very late to move across on him, though, and the Williams just about gave him the room, and Luca Kart now under pressure from Kian up the hill. PSR man now cooking on the back of the OP man, but the OP man hanging on for 5th position. Great stuff out on track. Markados leads Ryan in second, Aurelian in third. I really hope we get a really clean final lap of the race, because this has been an awesome race.
I've really enjoyed it, and I kind of wish, James, we had more than 32 laps of this Grand Prix, because I've been absolutely loving it. I've been glued to my screens for the entire of it, and I'm sure that you're going to be glued in as well. And good news, you could probably still hear me, unlike last week, so that's always a positive. Doing a lot better. That I always make sure that I double check now if I'm muted or not. Anyway, and Morbarak is telling Ryan to not stress, but I think he must be very worried because he can see Markados really pushing out on track for the final lap of this race. We've got the two OP mans in P1 and P2. Aurelian in third, Euron in fourth. But looks like Euron is going to try and defend from Luca Kart from P4 at the moment. But if they keep squabbling like that, they're going to lose out on so many positions. Heading towards Vilna then for the final time. Two of the McLarens are also going to be fighting for this. Keenan sit, but he could gain a lot of places through to this. Heading now towards Tosa for the last time. And Macho saying, so where's the rain? Well, we didn't have any rain at all, and knowing the game, it's probably going to rain pretty much when everyone's crossed the line, knowing us. As I believe Marlon has just been lapped as well. 3.2 seconds is the gap, so I think Ryan is pushing even more. He could be on for his first win in a PSF1 if he could just keep it clean. But we know how quick Markados is currently at the moment. Markados is going to be heading down the hill into Abatsa for the final time. Ryan is not that far behind either. So here he comes then. Markados is going to come towards the line, but Luca Kart, it's a bit of contact with Luca Kart as he spins as Markados comes across the line, but it is Ryan who wins his first race in PSGL PSF1. Aurelian in second, Markados in third, Jerome just about gets fourth, Keenan Ryder now in fifth and sixth. Luca Kart spun, but he finishes in seventh. For the Congan in eighth. Safano finishes ninth, and Sangama is going to be getting the final point. But Ryan is a PSGL PSF1 winner. Incredible stuff.
He is indeed, but Markados, I know, have a feeling he sped for coming in the pit lane, so that 5-second penalty might potentially get removed. And if I know Markados very well, he will aim and try and get that move. That 5-second penalty removed. And
it depends on the speed limit, though. It depends on the speed limit. If the speed limit matches what it was on the dash, then it's not going to be removed. But if it's different, then it could get removed. So we'll have to wait and see. James will probably do the maths in terms of who's going to be the new championship leader, because it was Bradders coming into this, but it's not going to be Bradders anymore, because Bradders not scoring any points. So we got a German out there in P1. We got 3 different constructors on the podium. We almost got a German podium, by the way. But obviously we got the Frenchman. in the AlphaTauri. So don't worry, we'll keep you informed on the points very soon once we do some basic mathematics. So Ryan then, from third on the grid, wins his first race. It'll be nice to speak to him hopefully in a minute. Aurelian in second, Margados in third, but maybe he will go back to the race win if he can get that 5-second penalty removed, but we'll have to make sure about that. Might have hit him in, Jay Van Bussel and Margados. So, yeah, that probably will be investigated by the stewards. So, the race win might be decided by the stewards, which will be not ideal, but keep an eye out on Twitter, of course. Jeroen in fourth, Kian in fifth, Ryder Dow sixth, Luca Kart seventh, Vola Conga eighth, Stefano ninth, Sam Gamer in 10th. Then we got your outside point scores of Jay Van Bussel, Bradders, Kazidal, Lars, Marlon, and Yossi. And your retirements, we've had 4 of Tom, Max, Jensen, and Nando. And once again, James, we had another really good race.
We did indeed. It was fantastic to watch, and I think fantastic to witness as well, not only from a commentary standpoint, but also from a viewing standpoint, because I think overall that was one of the most aggressive races I think we've seen all season, but it was clean. It was fair, and that's what we want to see. It is top brass, it is top tier racing and PSF1. This is what we want to see from every single driver. Every single driver gives their all, not to be taken out on social media saying, oh, you're a bad driver, you're a bad driver. We don't want any of that. I want to credit every single one of them for producing some really good action out on track, and they absolutely deserve it because it was brilliant to watch. Bit like, again, Qatar. Qatar was absolutely fantastic in terms of the racing. And again, we witnessed a fantastic race in Imola. And I thought coming into tonight, well, Imola's normally a track where people go for aggressive moves like we saw with Luca Kart on the final lap. But in the end, why not go for aggressive moves when you can have racing like that?
Yeah, I think we saw that with PCF2 as well, that the racing was generally very clean as well. So I did have high expectations for PSF1. But we knew some of the driving standards from last week was a bit questionable, so I was just, not getting my hopes up. But I'm really glad that I agree with you, James, that they delivered as well. Quite a few driver of the day contenders as well. We will wait to see if any of the drivers will come and speak to us for interviews. But Ryanair delivered and Markados delivered. Just a lot of drivers delivered and got their best results of the season. But it is a shame for the likes of Nando, Jensen and Max. I can't believe I cursed Jensen, but I'm not going to predict Jensen for a win anymore.
No, definitely not. Never predict Jensen for a win, because normally, time and time again, when I predict him for a win, he normally crashes out anyway. So, but I think we're both in the same boat in terms of predicting him. We should be getting interviews, by the way, I believe, from Mr. Ryan and from Mr. Aurelian. So we should be getting both of them in. They can join the waiting room wherever they like. In fact, one of them has just joined.
Right.
There are
other
interviews going on, which is why I'm confused.
Yeah, I need to get the interview screen up. There we go. Now you could drag Aurelian in.
There we go. I don't want to invite El Parlator in because he's going to get an interview for PSF1 even though he didn't race.
He's in F7, so...
There we go, he's in. Oh, Mr. PSR Aurelian, finishing there in P2. Fantastic drive from you out on track, especially on that sort of hard compound of tyres. Talk us through that race, because I don't know how your tyres held on right at the end there.
Honestly, I didn't see. I didn't see how many tire wear I finished, because I was, oh my god, I'm so happy for P2, but I'm also so gutted for P1 because I think it was definitely possible. The strategy was amazing thanks to Miss. It was really good strategy. Honestly, I started practice today and the pace was horrible. Thankfully, it was rain and it gave me with the one shot qualifying. It allowed me to start in good position. Strategy was good, and I think for the tire, the tire wear, I think I was I had the orange icon, so I think I was 60 or 70 in that range. But yeah,
Which
really
is
happy for P2.
Yeah, I was just going to come on to say that, which is surprising, I think, given the hard compound tires, because we, in our lifespans, whatever we do in terms of the strategies, we predicted that they would go for about 24 laps in. So, very much hanging on by the bare thread, I think, towards the end of the race, the hard. But P2 for you out on track. Talk us through what inspired that strategy call, because I was like, yeah, he's going to come into the pit lane from that set of mediums onto that set of hards. You had that VSC. It was the perfect opportunity to come in.
Yeah. First, the strategy was to do medium, and hope for the rain, and yeah, hoping for the rain. It didn't come, so yeah, putting the hard was the good strategy. With the VSC, yeah, it allowed me to take 10-second advantage on Marcados and all the field. And yeah, after they were like 2 seconds quicker, so it was really difficult to contain them. But yeah, P2 is not that bad.
No, P2
Congrats to,
definitely not gone.
yeah, just congrats to Ryan and Marcados for the podium also.
Yeah, they did both stunning jobs, I've got to say, in terms of the racing out on track. And you must have been thinking going on to the final few laps, maybe if the rain comes, maybe I could just hold them off. But Markadors and Ryan on those tyres were just so quick compared to you on those set of hards. Did you have a feeling, though, that you could hold them off?
Marcados, no, because he was like maybe 2 seconds ahead of Ryan. So maybe if Jeroen kept Ryan a little bit, like one more lap, it would have been possible to keep Ryan also behind and take the win. But that's how it goes. So that's still a good result.
No, it definitely is. It definitely is. And full credit, I think, for you to get to the end on that sort of hard compound tires. I certainly wouldn't have made it to the end of the race on that sort of hard compound tires, that is for sure. Jess, any questions?
Yes, first of all, massive congratulations on your podium. I don't know how you did on a set of hards, but you definitely kept us entertained throughout the race. From one track to another, from one of the shortest tracks on the calendar to one of the longest tracks on the calendar, Spa-Francorchamps is up next. One, do you like the track? And B, what are you hoping for next week?
Yeah, Spa is a good track, but I think it's one of my weakest on the calendar. So I will try to train a little bit more, and I will try another podium, but it will be really difficult because yeah, I did like maybe one or two races in Belgium, and it was yeah, the pace wasn't too good. So let's hope the pace can be a bit quicker next time.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much for talking to us, Aurelian, and congratulations on the podium, and hopefully we'll see you again this season in the commentary box.
Yeah, I hope so.
Thank you very much. James,
Thank
shall
you.
we get Ryan in for you to interview?
Good evening. Bye.
Have a good evening. See ya. Yeah, we will get Ryan in. Let's get him in. I did literally just say we're finishing off his interview. So there we go. We can. Oh, I did try and invite him in.
Oh, he's on
but then he just
PlayStation.
disappeared.
He's logging in from his PlayStation, that's probably why.
Oh,
Does
the
that
joys
mean-
of technology and the joys of Discord.
Does that mean we have to go in the rating room again? Let's hope the S7 boys are not waiting for anybody.
No, nobody is. I think the F7 boys are fine. So I think
Okay,
we can
good.
maybe hop over to the waiting room.
Let's join the waiting room and let's see if Ryan could come in anytime soon. And whilst obviously we wait for Ryan, we could talk about Aurelian's expectation for Spa. So he thinks that is his weak track. I don't think so, because there's some races where he's done well in Belgium in the past, but maybe because he hasn't done much practice at all. But again, we'll have to wait and see for Aurelian.
Yeah, definitely. So Aurelian, I think, has had pretty mixed form, I think, so far this season. And you mentioned about his form around Belgium. He's done brilliantly around Belgium in the past, but he's also done probably his worst races, I've got to say, in PSGL and in other leagues as well. And hopefully we can see the best out of Aurelian, because that was a fantastic performance here tonight. He deserved that second position. Markedos might get that 5-second penalty removed if he did. I had a look, by the way, in terms of where he was with Jerry Van Bussel coming in. Jerry Van Bussel, I believe, was behind Rodadal coming in the pit lane, so I don't think that actually affects anything in terms of that. But what we can do is speak to the man who finished in P1 and takes his PSGL F1 maiden win. It is Mr. OP Ryan. And Ryan, talk us through that race, because you must be absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say still. So it was a pretty boring race in the beginning because it was just a big DRS train. But of course, I was excited because first time in the top 5 in the season and started P3, which was also amazing for me. Yeah, and then when I saw Marketos get a 5-second penalty, I knew there was a podium at least, but not the win at the moment. So, but as soon as I passed Ryder, I knew I can win this. It was just about getting past Aurelian, Jerome, and I think it was Swallow-Kongen. And I kept it clean as possible, and I waited a bit longer than Marketos, which stressed me a bit because I saw him gapping me more and more, but yeah, in the end it paid off, so I'm really happy.
It paid off for you, definitely. I think it was 1.4 seconds between you and Markedos at the end of the race there. And you must be worried, of course, because Markedos, that 5-second penalty, it might get removed, so it could be a thing that comes back to haunt you. It could be a P2 out on track, but regardless, I think a podium with your best race of the season, I think, is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, true. That's true.
Very true indeed. And talk us through as well the interchangeable conditions, because we were thinking in the halfway of the race, there's rain going to come about lap 22, 23, and then it was the final 2 laps of the race, and then it didn't come. So were you getting told when that rain potentially was going to come, or was Mark just saying, oh, you know what, it's just going to come at the end of the race?
I knew at the beginning that there's no rain if there's no 2 safety cars or 3 maybe, because it was only this one rain cloud in the grid. So, and that's normally it's no rain. So I knew even if it will rain, then we won't box for Inters. So I wasn't so stressed about the rain, more about my own race. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm certainly stressing more about your own race, picking up that P1 win. Absolutely thrilled for you. Jess, any questions?
Yes, I do have a question. First of all, I think it's going to take a while for you to sink in, Ryan, that you got the race victory. Very happy for you that you got that as well. Speaking of all the other tracks on the calendar, we've got Belgium next week. Are there any other tracks where you think, right, I'm going to get possibly another race victory there, or are you just going to take it as it comes?
I think not another race victory. I think for this season it was a one-hit wonder. I don't think that there's any other opportunity so far if there's no luck or chaos. But I think Jeddah is a good track for a podium maybe, or top 5 at least.
Yeah.
Belgium is not my favorite track of, so yeah. I think Jeddah is good.
And your expectations going into Belgium next week?
Don't die. No, simply finish the race, maybe 1 or 2 points. Belgium's known for rain races, so let's see.
Yeah, for most races I've commentated on in PSGL, most of them have been raining in Belgium. So not all of them, but most of them as well. And Evans asked in the chats, ask Ryan thoughts on engineer.
Yeah, I have to give credits, otherwise he won't engineer me again. Credits on Evan for his goated engineering.
And that just goes to show that having an engineer, even in these top tier leagues, I think is so crucial just to keep things calm and under control. So thanks to all the engineers, I think, in general for doing very well. So, yeah, Evan's probably very happy that I said his comment. So you're welcome, Evan. But, yeah, we will go and leave you to it and enjoy the celebrations. But congratulations, our newest race winner to PSF1, OP Ryan. I'll let you go enjoy the rest of your evening. Well done.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. And that is it then for PSGL PSF1. And I have to say, Ryan really deserved that victory there as well. Let's hope it doesn't get decided by the stewards. Otherwise, I'm going to probably scream or something like that. But yeah, some great moves. I really enjoyed that race and it was very clean.
It was very clean indeed, and I've done a little bit of calculation. I hope these calculations are right. I believe Markados is now the new championship leader. With him finishing third, if he gets those 10 points, he will be 1 point clear of Bradders going into next week in Belgium. If not, and if he does get that race win, and that penalty does get removed, he will be, 16 points. So that will be, oh my word, it's even testing me in terms of the limits. I think he'll be, if I'm not mistaken, 10 points clear of Bradders going into next week. It was a 6 point gap, so therefore Markados 15 points, Bradders ending up outside of the points. So 10 points, that'll mean he's on 49. I've got the maths completely wrong here. If he finishes third, he's 4 points clear. If he wins, he is 10 points clear. There we go. That was very easy for me not passing GCSE maths. I think, Jess, you're muted again.
Oh, for goodness sake. Luckily, I did do it in the race. So you probably heard my mouth move and you'll be thinking, why is Jess on mute? Oh my God. But yeah, I completely forgot what I just said, by the way, but you probably guessed what I just said from the way my lips move. But yeah, great race. Belgium next week, a very technical track, this one. Always brings great action as well. One of my favourites to commentate on, at least. And yeah, what can you expect from Belgium going into next week?
Yeah, the feeling's mutual, I think, going into Belgium. Of course, it's the longest track on the F1 calendar. It's a historic circuit as well. We saw 1998, of course, Schumacher crashing into the back of David Coulthard. I really hope we don't get anything like that going into next week in Belgium. But I really hope that we can just continue the trend of fair, clean, but aggressive racing. It's PSF1 right down to a T. The last 3 out of the 4 races, Qatar, Japan, and now here, of course, in Imola. There might be stewards reports coming out of it, but they're going to be few and far between, I think, because the racing tonight was just fantastic. Belgium, of course, very similar to Imola in terms of the nature of the track, in terms of the nature of the racing. We should see some good racing again. Hopefully, commentators' curse doesn't come in, and hopefully we can get some really good, clean racing next week in Belgium.
I'm not going to predict too much going into next week, so otherwise the drivers will kill me. So there we go. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching PSF1. We'll be back next week. We've got, of course, PCF1 on a Wednesday at 10 p.m. with George Morgan and Jack Canaan as they take you through their action around Spa-Francorchamps in the Ardennes Forest, where you can see the likes of Jana Otmir and Lucas Blakely racing there as well. We also got PCF2, F3, F4, F5, F6 on at 8 p.m. on Thursday, and then we got us next Monday on at 8 p.m. But before we go, final plug of our sponsor, GT Mega. You can see with our lovely chairs, you can get 5% off all GT Mega products by using the code PSGL at checkout, or you can click the link in the description or use the code !GT Mega. Follow us on socials as well at PremierSimGL on Twitter and Instagram. Follow us on our personal socials as well, which you can find on the image there. Join our Discord as well. You name it. We're going to go now and catch our breath and leave you with our sponsors for the final time. For myself and James, see you next week and bye-bye.
on the left-hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now to the last couple of quarters now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the GOAT is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.